Hi, I'm Patty with Studio R12, and today I'm going to show you how to do a DIY boho box. All right, we're going to get started. We have the best pattern stencils at Studio R12 Stencils. They look like this. You can get them in sizes. They'd be fabulous for painting bathroom floors, tile, backsplash, boxes, banding, any of the things. So they are magic and they come in a whole bunch of patterns. You're gonna love them. Take a look. Okay, so what we're gonna do today is we're going to make the back side of our stencil sticky so that it will stick to our wood surface. This is super important because if it doesn't stick to your wood surface, there's a lot of little detail there that can kind of lift and then you can have bleeding under. So we wanna make sure that we do that. Take out a piece of wax paper and lay it on there so we don't make a mess on our surface. We're gonna use stick and restick. This is gonna make your stencil behave like a great big giant Post-it note. And that is what I love. So it won't be sticky to you, it'll stay stuck on this. All right, I have a piece of our Mylar palette paper, which is just basically scrap Mylar that you can get on our website. Comes in a really long piece, I think it's like 30 inches, and you can cut it down to palette sheets any size you want. I'm gonna use it long today because we are going to stencil with a roller. And I have had people debate with me about being able to do that, so I'm excited to show you how to do it. First thing we're gonna do is make the back of our stencil sticky. We're using the stick and restick. I'm gonna pounce, and I'm gonna pounce off to the side so that that gets rid of any excess. And then holding it down, I'll just work methodically across my stencil. Then you wait for it to dry and you have a Post-it note. What I love about stencils is unlike using vinyl, they're not one use only. So this will stay sticky as long as you want it. And if you want to take the sticky away, then you simply use some rubbing alcohol and clean it off. That's that. I'm gonna plunk this into a container with water in it so that it will stay nice and flexible. These clean up like a snap. These are amazing applicators and they do great with stencils. So next, let's talk about stain. There's a couple things to know about stain. You can use a petroleum-based stain, which is this Minwax. This is a water-based stain, which I believe is also Minwax. I'm using a light color, so it's gonna make my wood into a softer brown kind of color. And what I want to talk about with this is if you put that out on your palette, you're going to more than likely bond to your palette. So what I like to do is save the lids of margarine containers, coffee containers, all those kinds of things, and you can save them and they make perfect little disposable containers to put your stain out on, and then you just chuck that right in the trash and you don't have a mess and you haven't screwed other things up. So I'm gonna use water-based today. I do like the look of oil-based stain, but oil-based smells, it's bad to do in an enclosed area. It'll stink up your whole house, and if you're at a workshop or at a class, it will stink up your car on the ride home. So it has a lot of drawbacks. If you have the ability to use it in like a garage or an area like that, then it's easier to work with. But water-based works really great. So go here. And I have not sealed my surface because if I seal the surface, then the stain won't penetrate into the pores. So then you're gonna take your poly foam applicator and then you're just going to go ahead and apply it. And then a little trick, and this is a short video, but it's gonna be filled with a lot of really interesting tricks. So I hope that you stick around and then make sure that if you like it, give us that thumbs up and then subscribe, and you can ring the bell if you wanna be notified of future videos. So we're gonna take a paper towel now that I've applied that stain, and I'm just gonna wipe it back off. Makes it easy to dry because it dries way faster. And then I set it in front of a little fan earlier and it dried almost instantly. It was very quick. So I like to do these, and I'll do like one side and then my ends. And then so my hands don't get all gooby, then I stand them up, and then that is where I'll leave it until it dries there, and then I'll do the other sides and the other ends. So I want to talk about the finished product for a hot second. The neat thing about this project is I go through and I sand straight on through the black when I put that on, and then I'm gonna warm up my edges. So when you start, you're gonna think you're not getting there, but just know that the process continues after we get the stencil on there. And one of the things when I was looking at this box, this has a gnarly knot right there, and you would think, oh no, it has a gnarly knot. But because of the rustic look of this boho, that gnarly knot is gonna just add to the character. So you're gonna love that. So if you have old, yucky boards and stuff like that, this is a perfect project to crack those out. And as of 2022, in October of 2022, which is where we're at, we have this box is under $5 in wood to do. So you can make these as gifts. We've even taken the same little box and we've dressed it up for a little Christmas kind of flair. And we just got all kinds of cute things that you can put a stencil on, put a little piece of ribbon, do a little boho technique, and make it really cool. Okay, so now we see if we're dry. I think we are dry. That doesn't take any time at all. Now there's a trick that to getting the stencil to lay flat. And then one thing that you do want to do is make sure that your box is completely free of debris. When I painted mine, I had sanded, and then there was a little bit of sanding material on there, and it mussed up my my stick and restick. So it made it, all my sawdust stuck to my restick, and then it wasn't as sticky as I wanted it to be. So make sure that you're wiped off. If I lay my stencil down on the piece, you can do a couple of things. Let's go back to our example. And in a few minutes, I'll show you this little secret to this awesome plant. It's kind of funny. But if I go here, there's this board line right here where things join together. It made it the right height. We really wanted to be able to put mason jars in here, and we have templates. If you check out the website, we've got templates for cutting and for assembly of the box. So if you're a new DIYer, we've got you covered. And we even have a PDF with all the measurements. Okay, so you could put your stencil so that line is exactly with like this clear line. You could put your stencil so that line was above it. You can make some choices here. So you just, whatever makes you feel happy about that. I liked the bottom band to be dark all the way across, so that's why I chose to do what I did. Okay, now what you're gonna notice, and this is such a good lesson, is when you put your stencil here, this is bowed up, okay? It goes and up and over, and that is because the weight of the end is putting pressure on the middle. So that is gonna be a problem. What you can do is you can find things around your house that are the right height. That is such a perfect height, whoa. And then you can prop that up and notice that now it's flat. That's a really good trick to know because sometimes that can just drive you nutty. Okay, so now we'll get it nice and straight. And then the other thing that I did is I played around with what I ended and started on. So I liked the idea of that little nose ending right there. So that's what I'm gonna do. And then I'm lining up the bottom so that it is off the bottom. And I'm gonna press it down, but I'm also gonna take a look at that top band and make sure it looks straight as well. 2 more paint bottles. Okay, and stick it down. You see that this is not so sticky that it's being a problem. Okay, and using my black as a prop. So these are the honey bottles that we use for our paint, and we use either Deco paint or Sherwin-Williams that we put into these honey bottles, and there will be a link in the description below for that. What I do when I'm getting ready to roll on paint is I put it in a band across my palette paper. And then you'll notice I have this head to the roller inside a plastic bag. Note that this is not a Ziploc. The Ziploc bunches up and it won't allow it to keep all the air out. We have done an experiment. We have kept a roller wet inside a plastic bag for over 5 weeks. So this is a great way if you know you're gonna paint a number of items the same color. It's a great way to keep your roller head fresh. And then what I like to do is I like to take the head off when we store it, and then everything gets really nice and sealed up. Don't put a rubber band or anything like that with it. A piece of tape would be okay. But if you make ridges in it, it tends to remember the ridge. So be careful with that. These little sandwich bags also make fabulous disposable gloves. And now we will go into our paint. So I'm gonna go right in the middle. I'm gonna drag it down, and then I'm gonna roll back up, drag some more down, and then really roll it to get it evenly applied. And if you just go back and forth, you'll end up with the same saturated part. So you want to spread that love around. So what you do is you pick it up and set it back down again, and that'll rotate your roller around. So make sure that you're nice and even. You do not want a lot of paint, but you do want even paint. Now we take our paper towel and we roll off on our paper towel. That also shows me right there I had a saturated spot. So you want to be careful of those. And so just roll back and forth. It's better to have it light than to have it over heavy. And now we're nice and pressed down. Sometimes you can take and just give it a little pouncy poo. Pick up some more paint. Roll off again, always roll off. Always, always, always. So how fast is this? It's amazing. Okay, I'm gonna spit out some more paint. You could use the jumbo dauber and that would work really well. The dome brush that we use for all of our non-bleeding under would also work, but you're just gonna work really hard because there's a lot of surface to this box. So you don't wanna work hard, work smart. If you have a stubborn area, sometimes where the crack of a board is, where they're joining, that can be a stubborn place to get paint into, or your gnarly bit, then you would just use the dome brush to fill in right there. These paint bottles are perfect. Finding a spot to hold down a pattern stencil can be so tricky. So something that you can do, let's have that whole moment here. Take the back of a paintbrush and you can use that to be your applicator so you're not getting paint all over your hands. I think I wore every bit of paint when I did my sample. So I had black hands. I couldn't even go to lunch without going and scrubbing. The neat thing about Boho is you could do a really light application. You could do a heavy application. It's just good pattern. That is what makes it magical. Okay, and we'll take care of that little texture area. By putting black paint in there, it'll kind of blend them in just a little bit. And I think we're ready to reveal. Are you ready? Okay, so dun da da da. Magic. Isn't that fabulous how fast and easy that is? I think that is amazing. Love a stencil when you are applying your paint to a stencil. Wow, love a roller when you're applying your paint to a stencil. Okay, so into the baggie. What you'll do is you'll line up your pattern and continue on the other side. Another really good pro tip is to find a trash can with a flat lid. I'll show you what I've done here. So just a trash can. And then just lay your board across a big open container and that moves it down to an area where you can manage it. And then that will get trickier when you're trying to support the ends, but because it's so little, it's kind of easier to keep it pressed down. I'm gonna hit the blow dryer and then we'll show you how to make it look magical. We are dry and ready to put some more detail on here. So right now it's nice. You could be finished right where you're at, but first we're gonna go grab our sanding block. This is so handy when you are sanding. It is just incredible. If you DIY, you need these, okay? I have them for a couple of grits that are common 220 and 60 grit. Now I'm gonna go through and kind of destroy my stenciling. So we go through And it goes and finds all of the grain of the wood and does a little fun relief. So you can see that was raised. That's so cool. All right, I think that's enough. So it just took a couple of swipes and it takes it to texture and glorious age. And it looks like the people here at work thought that we had bought the box because it looked so finished and all the things. It looked aged already. So this is a kind of a neat, fool the eye technique. Okay, we're gonna take DecoArt Media Acrylic. This is a medium that has no filler. So it's pure pigment paint and it is compatible with all your acrylics. And it is magically rich and just umptious. So we're gonna take our brown, this is burnt umber, and you only need a little bit. So just like, that's a nickel. And then I'll have some blackout as well. Do make sure that they're shook up. I don't know that you can see it on camera. This is the black from Sherwin-Williams. And it's black, but it's not rich black. And then this is the brown, and it is just rich, rich, rich. It's just beautiful. I'm going to use a blue paper towel, and we're going to wet it with water. These little barbecue containers are fabulous for putting water in. Hope you guys are picking up all the fun little tips. We love to share the tips and tricks that make painting fast, fun, and easy. So do make sure you check out our other videos. Okay, so I folded it so I've got a wet corner. This, I'm an Army brat, so this goes back to shoe shining, okay? So if you've ever shined a pair of shoes, you always cup the tissue. You always are doing your t-shirt material from your old white t-shirts. You always put your fingers in the middle and that makes that little rounded spot so you're always buffing without a corner or something grabbing and marring up your finish. So now you know how to shine shoes. So full service DIY show. Okay, so we're gonna take that and we've got it on the wet corner. Now we're gonna go into the edges of our box and we are going to antique. So you round it out and then you go straight across the top and you can see the difference between this side and this side. This is definitely richer looking and warmer. Then we repeat on the other side. And if you've got little cut bits from the edge of your board, just make sure you press your paint in. Okay, if you don't like something or you need to soften it, you just go back in with your clean side and that will lift the paint off. Then what you need to also do is this is gonna end up looking so rich that your top and your inside is gonna look a little bit light and bright. And I didn't like that when I was doing mine. So I went through, made my corners darker and then just a little bit across the top. And then I also did the inside the same way. So you just want to kind of wipe and smoosh that into the corners and cracks of your box. Okay, so now what we do is we take a little bit more water. I can feel it's drying out. And just with that same edge, that's what I love about these blue paper towels is this one was disintegrated when I tried it. And this one is good for multiple passes of the colors. Then we pick up a little bit of black. And then we just keep that really isolated in our corners. And that just draws the piece in and just gives it a hug. If you see anything that looks a little bit too bright, maybe I don't like that, you can go across and you can just deepen where you want to go. Okay, and now we're going to do the final touch. Okay, I've got my White Wonder spatter brush and I've got some water on my palette. I'm gonna pick up some water and you see how this is cut really cool. So it's an oval and it's tapered really fine at the end and it has these little like fingers that are cut out there. So it's a really neat variegated brush. We're gonna find a spot on the palette to add water and make a really runny, inky look. We can test, always test. Also, if you're wearing nice shoes, if you have a Gucci handbag close by, you've got expensive glasses, or your cell phone is around, make sure you put that away because spatters tend to leap over places and you will find spatters on your face and your arms and your clothes and everything. Ask me how I know. Okay, so we're gonna test spatter right over here. And I want these kind of chunkier, so now I'm going to anchor this brush and I'm going to lift and tap with this brush. And I'm going to do my corners, kind of heavy. And you point towards where you want the spatters to land. So if I go this direction, they're gonna land in front of the brush. So if I go this direction over here, they're gonna jump this way, but I kind of want them in the corner, so that's a better place to be. Spatters also take a really tremendously long time to dry, so make sure that you're dry before you handle your box. Also, I've now spattered all over this table because I don't have something masking it, so you could put a paper towel or a towel down. When you turn your piece, you might be running through a spatter and that can wreck the other side of your project. Okay, so, and then I don't know if you saw that, but we got a great big old chunky chunk right there. If I don't like the chunky chunk, then a really good thing to have on hand is a little Q-tip. And so you can just go on there and just remove that chunky chunk. And you could spatter again in that spot if you wanted to. Okay, so you can see how easy and fun and fast it is to get a boho pattern on just about anything that you want to paint. Let me show you how to put some cool handles on. Okay, so in this case, what we did was we made a cute little knotted handle that we mounted on the outside. That way you don't have to drill a hole and do that stuff, and I'm gonna show you how to do that. And then I wanted to share my cool plant. Was looking for greenery. Cactuses and succulents would look so cute in this box. This is just a wreath that I smushed and kind of shoved in there. So if you don't have a green thumb, that's a really easy way to get a little bit of greenery in your house. Okay, so let's talk about that knot. So what you're gonna need is one of these staplers that has this little U shape in it, and that way it will staple over raised items. You knot one end of your rope. You can use whatever kind of rope and jute you have. I think we found this one at Hobby Lobby. So you give that a little knot, you mark where you want your holes, and then you're just going to go lay that right over the top of it, and then anchor and squeeze. And that is how you get a perfect little rope handle. You'll continue on the other side, you'll tie your knot for the distance that you want, and then cut it after you get it stapled. Ask me how I know about that one too. I hope you guys have enjoyed this lesson. I'll see you on the next video.